At Residential Tech Today, we are extremely grateful for our partners and supporters that allow us to do the things that we do and support the publication so that we can bring you amazing content like we do on a regular basis. This episode of the Residential Tech Talks podcast, recorded at CEDIA Expo, was made possible thanks to a collection of partners, including the 8K Association, Elite Screens, Hisense, and Oasis Residential Technology Group.
Residential Tech Talks, lighting specialist, residential tech.
All right, we are back on the Residential Tech Talks podcast, coming to you live. Well, not live, after the fact. This is live. We're doing this live.
We're actually live.
This isn't, I think we're here.
Well, is this the part of the show where we go into whether or not we're in the Matrix?
I think so. It feels like that, right?
Yeah.
What pill did you take when you got here?
Man, I have taken way too many pills while I've been here, so I don't remember even the color of them.
We also are in Denver, so God, who knows what.
Just don't take anything that anyone hands you on 16th Street. Stay away from that.
If you learn anything this entire show, that is the best advice.
Yeah.
Mr. Matt Bernath, Vital, my neighbor, my good neighbor, how are you?
I'm fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like I'm going to have to pay for some hearing aids for my team after this show.
Listen, that's why these are, I should have been lending you these long ago. These are like noise canceling over here. It's nice when you can put them on and you still feel the booming of the, the loud bass. But if I hear the Greatest Showman track one more time, I could be good never hearing it again.
Oh, man. No kidding.
But we're at CEDIA.
We're at CEDIA. We are in the back corner of the show floor, which is where there are no rules.
None
right?
whatsoever.
There's no rules. There's no decibel meters. Nobody's paying attention to the health of their neighbors. And meanwhile, we're over there trying to talk to people about business excellence,
right?
And getting blasted, while you're here trying to record a legitimate, very serious podcast
all the time,
and have people actually hear you.
Yeah, we make it work somehow, some way. You know, it is what it is. But I'd almost have it no other way, though, right? Because how else would the show be interesting? No, of course, there's many ways for it to be interesting. I say that in jest. How has it been for you, our neighbors aside, the noise ordinances that have been broken?
It's been incredible. I'm feeling super grateful for a number of reasons. One, just to be here. It's always something to look forward to.
Yep.
My team is amazing and have given me space to go do what I love to do, which is connect with people.
Yep.
So I've been able to walk the floor. We had an incredible breakfast for our Vital members on Thursday morning. What's today's Friday?
Friday? I think so.
Yeah, so yesterday we had a breakfast, which was amazing. A lot of our Vital members are here. We had a party on Wednesday night, and just throughout the week, my team has done such an amazing job. We're all pulling together, and
it's been. I know we've got a screen between us and noise blocking things out, but I can tell that it's been busy. The traffic has been flowing.
Yeah.
On your side of this wall, if you will, and it's exciting to see that, right? To have those conversations be going on over there the way they have been. What are you hearing from them? What are those conversations like?
Conversations are, hey, we're now, I've now been the owner of Vital for 4 years. It's been around for a long time, but we've really made a conscious effort in the last 4 years to impact as many people as we can. Mm-hmm. And we're finally seeing that people are getting curious about what it is we do. And so that is, just sort of starting to happen in the last, let's say, 12 to 18 months. Before that, it felt like a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And now we have a lot of case studies, and so people are hearing, amongst the industry, it's, they'll talk to each other. And
we're a family.
So, so we've had more, this year, more sort of like walk-up traffic, even though we're hard to find, where people say, oh, hey, somebody told me to go check you out, right?
Yeah.
And so that's been fun. It validates what we're doing. And people are also realizing, hey, maybe I need to run better business, right?
Yeah.
I really enjoy the technology. I've enjoyed touching and playing with all these toys, but maybe I want to retire someday, or maybe I want to sell, or maybe I want to, have a business that runs without me.
How important? Because I know you talk about the efforts to get more people aware, right? The work with the buying groups, because I know that's been a major point of emphasis for you the last couple of years as well. Yeah. Maybe having been a part of one and seeing you at some shows, how important has that side of the industry been?
Really important. That's for me. It's a personal passion to share what we know because what I've experienced for myself, and I think this is true for many, you kind of have to hear the same thing over and over again until it lands or it clicks.
Yep.
But we end up having similar conversations with the same people year after year at these buying group events, and usually it's by like the second year they will literally say like, you know what, Matt, I feel like we talked about this before, and I'm
Right.
like, yeah, we did a year ago. So, and then they look at me and they're like, but my business hasn't changed. Like, okay, well maybe it's time to double down on that. But I've really enjoyed just meeting everybody through the buying groups, but it's an incredible outlet for us to educate. And that's what kind of my personal passion is.
Yeah, absolutely. And to hear those same conversations, I imagine for them it must be to have the realization in the moment of like, oh, maybe I need to not be asking the same thing again, is a little bit frustrating to hear, but also like encouraging that they are having that light bulb moment. For you to now they see the importance of what it is you do and what you offer.
Yeah. I've noticed that we're an industry of people who don't love asking for help.
Yeah.
And are maybe not that vulnerable, which is totally cool.
They're
because
problem
we're
solvers, right?
They're
They're
problem
used to being,
solvers. They want to fix it themselves.
Yeah.
And like, that's me. I
Right.
get that. It's taken a lot of work to get to a point where I'm okay asking for help and receiving help. And I think that has been the most challenging thing for us. And I believe that as an industry, and I don't want to take credit for this, we're shifting a little bit to integrators realizing, A, they don't have to solve all the problems themselves. B, like every challenge they're going to come across has already been solved by somebody.
Right.
They just need to find the right community or resource to help them, and just be open to receiving that help. Which is hard.
This might be more existential than I mean it to sound, but like, is there like a moment in time or like something that, like an inflection point where, or is it a generational thing of just like people that are coming into the business, or I mean, a time in people's lives, like, what do you think it is that's allowing that realization to happen more often today?
I don't know.
See, I told you it was going to be very out there.
Well, I mean, look, we can get
I warned you.
very meta if you want on this, but I think in part it's the energy that we're putting out there.
Yeah.
Guys like you and me, and some people in the industry who are recognizing, like, hey, A, it's okay to ask for help.
Right.
B, it's okay to talk about like not being okay.
Yeah.
And I think the buying groups have helped with that by bringing in great speakers.
Yeah.
That help everyone to realize, like, okay, this is where I am, and if it's not where I want to be,
right,
it's okay to share that with other people and say, hey, I want to be somewhere else.
Yeah, and I think again, just throwing on the old hat, like the emphasis that's been given to education over programming over the last couple of years has been very evident, right? And having one perspective, but even within the last 6-7 months of being in this seat, seeing the other groups and the importance they've given to their education platforms has, I think, been a big part of it for sure. To your point, but also it's kind of like I think to the keynote from Indy, and you mentioned like the realization that it's okay to not be okay. I'm blanking on the gentleman's name, but I can't think of it. It's going to bother me.
Lewis Howes?
From the ASEAN event, he gave the keynote on looking at yourself in the mirror.
I do not remember his name either. Yeah.
We're going to superimpose over the top of it. I'll take a great picture, or I have great pictures of him. I'll put them over top and figure it out. But even his keynote, the fact that it wasn't really about anything custom integration related, right? It was just the fact that it was more of a leadership aspect, and the one thing that still stays with me from that is his point of like, if you can look the hardest conversation you can have in a day is looking at yourself in the mirror and talking to yourself, and like how deep you can get, like that kind of stuff. I think you are hearing about it more, and it's made it okay, again, to use your words, to like not be okay and then ask for help within your business.
Totally.
So it's been, I mean, a lot of that kind of stuff. It's opened doors to what you're doing, and others in the space as well, and I mean, it's cool. There's no question in that, right?
It's fun.
I'll have one, but like it's been awesome to see sort of, the rise of what, how you've been able to shift Vital into what it is today and what you're accomplishing.
Yeah, thank you. It's really fun for us, and I want to touch on the education piece because you bring up a good point. There's actually a glut of education in this industry and everywhere else, and of course, ChatGPT knows it all already, and so what we find, like there's actually a stat that 3% of people who start an online course finish it.
Wow.
3%.
That's
which is like
yeah.
crazy low,
Right.
And true, it's industry agnostic. So any platform, any learning management platform, we can expect that about 3% of the people finish. And so education alone, in fact, knowledge alone, doesn't actually move the needle for anyone, right? We've all met really incredibly smart people. In fact, if knowledge alone meant success, then professors wouldn't be broke, right? And so, and I'm not saying all professors are broke, but by and large,
the point stands.
Yeah. So the reality and like what sort of makes what we do unique outside of the education. So the education is what we give to the world, if you will. Is transformation, and it's different.
Yeah.
It's doing the work together. It's being in a community where you can solve problems together, and so that's sort of like where education falls short and turns into transformation. Is like, what do you do with the knowledge?
Yeah. One of the things our experiences together, I'm always obviously seeing you at shows and the collaborative nature of the sessions that you run and put on. You can see it's always been neat to see the impact happen in the room, and I think those that know and have experienced it could probably attest to that as well, right? So I want to give you a chance to talk. I have a follow-up that we'll get to, but I want to give you a chance to talk about just those experiences of being able to get a bunch of integrators together, either at a show. I know you also travel as well. Well, that includes travel, but travel to their showrooms, right? To their locations, and work with these dealers and see the results sort of in real time. What's that like for you?
That's essentially why we do it.
Yeah.
In fact, we talk frequently amongst the team about who's making progress, who's not making progress, and we really want to emphasize that nobody gets left behind unless they leave themselves behind. And what that looks like, there's a small number of people who go through our system who don't succeed.
Yep.
And oftentimes that it's a multiple of what they put in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we take responsibility for a certain piece of that. But ultimately, like, we are all here to help people, right? I do have to run a commercially viable business. So, it's incumbent upon me to have a profitable enterprise.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, everybody on my team, like, they're incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
And so that's, like, we want to see the results. We celebrate. I think everybody on my team at one point or another has gotten emotional, either with a member or, like, in one of our meetings about a member.
Wow.
And just seeing them, reach the stages of life where they're creating generational wealth for their families, or like yesterday at our breakfast, one of our members shared that he's carved out one day a month to be with his wife. He just doesn't work that day, and this guy's a workaholic.
Wow.
And so that was a huge change for him to say, hey, like, I've gotten to a point where not only is he taking a bunch of time off, as compared to where he was 3 years ago, but now he there's a day a month booked for him and his wife.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so those are the kind of things that, like, just makes us warm.
So I know I kind of mentioned it in asking that, but you are on the road a lot. But for those that may not be familiar with your process, talk about what that's like in terms of, obviously there's an approach and an initial contact with the dealer, but what's it like to go through working with Vital?
So I love that. And it's a great question, Rob, and I appreciate you giving me space for that. What I'd love to do is, rather than share so much about, like, us and our process, I think that's something I'd love people to discover if they're interested in it. I know they listen to your podcast not to hear a commercial about Vital. So if you're cool with it, I'd love to create some space to, like, talk about other things.
For sure.
And then if people are interested, just
go
to our website, growwithvital.com.
Yeah. No, I can appreciate.
And then like, we're super passionate about what we do. I could literally spend this entire time talking about Vital, and I don't want to start that. So
that's amazing. We're not see proof that we don't shill. Not on this spot. I gave him the chance.
Yes.
But no, I mean, any great, you talk about the stories. Then, is there anything that's happened here? You mentioned the breakfast, but any other cool sort of, those defining moments of, this is why we do this?
Yes, there are a number of things that I've observed at the show and sort of, around it and prep for it, and conversations have happened around it where people are really thinking about their integration businesses as businesses. And I want to give credit to I think something that happens naturally in a maturing industry is a lot of M&A.
Yeah.
But I want to give credit to how public a lot of that stuff is, even though there's still plenty of private M&A stuff happening. But when it's public, it gives rise to conversations that weren't happening before,
right?
Where integrators are like, oh, wait a minute, like maybe I'm 50 and maybe I don't want to do this till I'm 75, and maybe there's an out. And I think that just what's happening in our marketplace has been really interesting, that integrators are shifting from seeing this as just a fun thing they can do to make money to like, hey, maybe maybe it's a valuable enterprise that I'm building, or maybe right now it feels like a massive lift and it's a job, but it could be a business.
Right.
And so I've really enjoyed that. And I don't know that we can point our finger to like one specific thing, but I think it's a combination of the buying groups, the industry, the M&A, the maturation, all of that stuff happening at once.
No, that's incredible. And I mean, it's again, to your point of like I think the evolution of the space. They see what's happening across the industry. They see, I mean, it's certainly happening within. You can look at the floor of CEDIA and see the partnerships that are happening, the acquisitions that are happening. But I love too, when you see the integrators that are working together, and maybe the buying groups, it happens so often. I guess familiarity with it of them being able to pick each other's brains and learn from one another, and it's great stuff what they're doing. But like the when it actually like results in something, and that to your point of making it a viable business, where it's like most of these guys started because they were tinkering in their garages, right? Yeah. So it's like it was what they were good at, so they figured, well, this is what I should do, and you don't want to, I imagine when it's like a passion turned, everyday work, and it's kind of what you're doing, you kind of forget about the fact like, oh, yeah, I do have to make money, and you want to see them be successful. So those kinds of things I have to imagine are, what make it more than just rewarding for you guys to be able to have some sort of impact and play a small part in that.
Yeah. And what we've seen over the years is like the sweet spot for an integration company is like $4 to $5 million at 15 to 20% bottom line. Most integrators aren't there, and along the way there's these chasms to cross, and the first one is really from like 0 to $1 million, and there are certain things that you really need to focus on, and you can actually have like a very profitable, what we'll call business, but it's really a job. You end up with 4 or 5 people, and you're doing about $1 million a year. But if anything happened to you or anyone on your team, like it's a very risky enterprise. Yeah. And so it's really a job, but it's a business, and it can be pretty profitable and fun. That's up to $1 million, and then the next chasm to cross is from 1 to 2, and that chasm feels really painful. We talk to a lot of people who are in that 1.2, 1.5, maybe 1.7 range, and they're like, why is this so hard? Right? And it's because that transition till you get to about 10 or 12 employees, you're big enough where you have to have real leadership skill. You're still small enough where it feels like you need everybody involved. It's still kind of a risky enterprise, but you can start taking some time off. And a lot of companies we see really struggle to get to that 2 million because it's so hard. And they're like, man, this is really tough. I'm going to go back to $1 million, right? But once they get to 2, it's a pretty happy little place. And then the next chasm is from 2 to 4. And the 2 to 4 is incredibly painful because now it feels like it's a real business. There's a lot. There's a lot at stake. And when you get to 4 million, you have about 20 people, and it feels like a lot. You have a lot of bodies to care for and things like that. And so those chasms, in between 1 and 2, and between 2 and 4, that's usually where people find us.
Gotcha.
Because they're like, man, I feel like I'm in pain.
Right.
And so it's been incredible to see now the industry sort of talking more about that stuff. And it's been really eye-opening, I think, for integrators to think about that. To think about like, I'm feeling pain, but it's totally normal. Right.
And I have to, those are, the chasms you bring up are interesting because it feels like, I think as much as it's the dollars, it's the size of the business, the people, the bodies, right?
Right.
You're going from, they're probably someone that, again, knowing this industry, they started themselves. It was a one-man thing. They did it all. So there's that. Is it as much like humility from a leadership perspective? Like I need to back out of the day-to-day hands-on and not be out in the field as much. Like what are sort of those big challenges from the owner's perspective, as they make those transitions between the different levels of the business?
Challenges in letting go.
Yeah.
And there's really 3 core components that you have to get right in order to make it to $5 million and have a 15 to 20% net profit. Right. And it's really, you have to create sales certainty. Yep. So you have to build systems and processes and lead generation around sales certainty. Yep. You have to have a trusted team. So you have to be able to, have to have systems for hiring people. Yep. and also know who to hire in advance rather than hiring under the gun. And then, of course, there's like this leadership component that gets forgotten. Yep. Where not only does the owner have to continue to level up their leadership, they have to build leaders in the organization. Because you can't have 20 to 25 people reporting to one person, right? And then the sort of other third piece is what we call profitable production. That includes getting the finances right. Yep. Getting the bottlenecks resolved, like typically the owner, which is what you just brought up. And then installing proven processes throughout the organization. Yeah. Like when you get all those 9 things dialed in, it sounds like a lot. Right. It's a journey. You're there, and it's not like you set all this stuff up in advance and then turn on a light switch. Right. These are things you're building along the way to that $5 million.
I feel like I'm picking on these small business owners at this point, but and I don't mean to sound that way, but knowing that like they are coming from a tech, like do you find that? I guess there wouldn't be a need for it if they all were business savvy, right? Like how much of a learning curve is there for them? And I'm sure it's different for one owner to the next because there is it's not cookie cutter in this space. Do they pick up on it quick, or like what are the things that they do to help themselves? What have you seen from the integrators that have picked up on it quick? That they do differently from those that are struggling.
The more coachable they are to begin with when they start our program, the faster they progress. Sure. But because we have a community of like-minded integrators, they actually borrow each other's confidence, which is really beautiful. Yeah. And so what we've seen in many cases, a lot of the work we do is together in community. Right. And when you do the work together in community, you like, hey, that guy is like me. He's in the same place in my journey, and he's doing something different, and he's having success. Yeah. So I'm gonna just borrow it. And in mountain biking or dirt bike riding, I don't know how familiar you are, we call that towing in. Yeah. Right? And so if I follow you on a trail, and you're like, hey man, just follow me in tight, and we're going to hit this jump, I may be super scared to hit that jump, but you're towing me in, and I'm borrowing your confidence. Yep. And that's kind of a concept that happens organically in what we see. Yeah. Where if you're a solopreneur, or an entrepreneur that's like lonely, because that's a lonely place to be, it's really hard to get the confidence to do something different.
It makes sense. You explaining it that way makes sense now. I think why so much of the excitement that I've seen in what you do happens at the group level, right? Because they are there together in that community, and it's always kind of been the pitch on the non-product side of it is that they can come together and have those conversations and learn. You get a little structure around it, with kind of what you guys bring to the table, makes it super impactful. So it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Cool. I feel like we could keep going, but I also know that I don't want to monopolize your time because you do have a great team over there. I'm sure they'd like to see it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
But the last thing I do want to ask, because I've asked everyone, at this show, if there was one thing that you wanted to get out of it, your goal coming here, the reason for being here, what is it?
It's really to be with our members. My favorite part of the week was our breakfast and our party, where I get to connect one-on-one with some people that I only see on Zoom. Yeah. Some people I've never met in person. So it's really connecting with our members and having our team connect with our members. Yeah. Because that's really important. So for me, it's that. Yep. The next, akin to that is hang out with you and others that I only get to see very infrequently. Yep. And I feel like it reminds me of like being in a wedding where the week is done. Yeah. It's sort of like your wedding day and you realize like, oh, I only saw that person for 2 minutes. Like Rob, this is the first time we've seen each other.
Know.
And we're literally
separated
neighbors.
by some pipe and drape.
And then I always feel, and I don't know if this is just it's probably just a me thing, but I'm like, man, I really wish I would have talked to him about this or that, or and of course there's phones. We can all just call each other. But if for whatever reason we're like a bunch of dudes and we feel like we need to be in proximity to have conversation. No. So that's I think the next piece for me, the first is being with our members, and the second is just being amongst friends in the industry.
Absolutely. No, this was awesome. And I will let you just take the jaunt around the pole back to the other side. But this was fantastic.
Would we call that pole dancing? If I'm
maybe
jaunt around the pole?
That's very CEDIA on par. Let's go.
Right? Exactly.
No, that's awesome. Matt, I appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time, and I'm sure we will be catching up again soon.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks, Rob.
You bet. If you enjoyed this episode of the Residential Tech Talks podcast, please subscribe to us on the platform you're listening on. Also, be sure to follow Residential Tech Today on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Residential Tech Talks, autonomous lighting specialist to residential tech
Home automation, smart device, home or smart house.
At Residential Tech Today, we are extremely grateful for our partners and supporters that allow us to do the things that we do and support the publication so that we can bring you amazing content like we do on a regular basis. This episode of the Residential Tech Talks podcast, recorded at CEDIA Expo, was made possible thanks to a collection of partners, including the 8K Association, Elite Screens, Hisense, and Oasis Residential Technology Group.